From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of Evenings LA with great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022 with a lot of major developing details, but the big one is those three checks. Three checks have now landed: $6,500 check, $15,000 to $80,000 check, and a $24,000 monthly stimulus check, MSC check. We'll go over each of these checks in this 1 hour special broadcast in prime time and how you get these incredible checks. But first, from the shores of Santa Monica, California, we have a lot of breaking developing details, and we'll go over that in this recording tonight. We'll go over the Build Back Better Act that gets a new push tonight because economic data was a miss. And that Build Back Better Act has a lot of checks in there, $15,000 to $80,000. Then we'll be looking at what's happening with that interest rate situation with J-Powell trying to reduce inflation by raising interest rates. But this also impacts your SS300. We have new guidance coming from this week and what Brainard is likely to say and what J-Powell said last week. It's a big developing detail, and would it send us into recession or would it get us $300 more per month? I have the latest details tonight. Then we have a new situation unfolding, and it is really confusing. It is a situation about that sixth stimulus package. Germany, France, United States, the trifecta, lining up for wheat, grain, soybean, corn, and oil. But suddenly out of nowhere, Iran, that deal looks like it may not be happening. And Germany also may signaling that it may not be getting off of Russian oil. OMG, I have the latest details of tonight's special 1 hour broadcast. Then we'll go live with the latest details of what's happening with that student loan debt forgiveness. We're just a few days away from that. That is the big seventh stimulus. Seventh stimulus for Joe Biden to make a determination by May 2nd. Then we have all the incredible details about what's going on for fifth stimulus for people on beneficiaries and learning when that would go to the head. A lot of checks in a big broadcast tonight. The big developing details is three checks have now landed. A $6,500 check, a $15,000 to $80,000 check, and an MSC. Then Build Back Better, the latest details tonight. Six stimulus, the latest details on that. And then in the final minutes of this video, I have a new surprise for you across the board. It's a big night, and you want to stay to the very end. With a lot of checks and a lot of money and recessionary concerns growing across the board. Are we in recession or are we not? The details start right now on Evenings. And good evening, everybody. It's a big night across the board. With a lot of checks at issue. We'll be looking at those incredible checks. In tonight's recording, no less than three checks have landed. Have you got to them? They're coming up later in this 1 hour special broadcast. We're going to go over each of those incredible checks one at a time and how you get them, their law, their paying out. But first, we're going to look at what's going on with the Build Back Better bill. New economic data signaling it will get done. All the latest details on that. Then SS300, J-Powell giving guidance last week, but is there different guidance coming this week? Our latest analysis on what that means for your beneficiaries. And extra $300 per month. All the latest tonight on Evenings. Then we'll be looking at what's going on with that sixth stimulus to prevent a potential recession in the United States. Is the president on board with this, or is he missing a step? All the latest comments from Anthony Blinken, your Secretary of State, this morning, and whether he addressed the situation as well. And then, of course, we'll be looking at that big money for student loan debt forgiveness, seventh stimulus, just a few days away. Boy, we got a big broadcast tonight, folks. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, get ready for this 1 hour special report. It all starts right now. We're going to go right into the Build Back Better bill. It is a bill that has lots of checks in there, and those incredible checks in there amount to $15,000 to $80,000. You're going to see later in this video how the president has now taken out some of those checks and made them a law in the last few days. But let's first start with Build Back Better. It's a bill. It's currently in the Senate, not a law yet. It has a lot of checks across three clusters and three add-ons that pays a huge sum to viewers of the channel. On average, about $15,000 to $80,000 of checks in that Build Back Better. Let's go over each of those clusters and those checks with a big surprise tonight. In that first cluster, we have in there huge checks like hazard pay. 1 more year of the earned income tax credit. Then we have money for the children. $3,600 of the CTC 1 more year. The $4,000 of elder care got it in there. The $4,000 of care for young children in there as well. They got the $550 check for the Pell Grant, the $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric car, and then money to repair your home. That is the first of 3 clusters in the Build Back Better bill currently in the Senate. The first add-on of checks is from Maxine Waters, just a little bit less than $25,000. It's huge. It's for the purchase of your first home. This is money that will be given to the seller in your name by the federal government at the time of escrow. It's huge. And how do you get it? It's Build Back Better bill, not law, currently in the Senate. Now let's turn to that second cluster of checks and get ready for a big surprise. In that second cluster of checks, we have paid leave and home repairs. Paid leave is if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness, a lot of money, $4,000 to $6,000 a year. How much? If you make $70,000 or more per year, it's $800 a week. $1,700 a week. If you make $35,000 or more per year, it is $800 a week. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. W-2 1099, you all get it. And if you don't work, then the family member who has to take you to work to the doctor does get the check. The home repairs at that second cluster, hold up, there's a big surprise right there. And we're only just seconds of this video. At cluster number 2, home repairs of the Build Back Better bill, there was supposed to be money in there to weatherize your home in the Build Back Better bill, which is not a law. But the President of the United States just days ago sat back and said, I'm taking it out. I'm making it a law, and it is law. It is check number A on our graphic, and it's huge. That first check was taken out by the President of the United States on March 31st. There you go. It's coming up later in this video. Get ready with that pen and paper to take notes. A $6,500 check for weatherizing your home was supposed to be in the Build Back Better bill from Congress, but now the president took it out and made it law by executive action. It's one of 3 checks coming up later in this video that have now landed. Let's go back into that Build Back Better bill and all those incredible other checks in there. The second add-on of checks comes from Bob Casey, just a little bit less than $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow, that is incredible. Then when we turn to the third cluster of checks, deliciousness. Free internet for all checks, farmers checks, independent contractors checks, and then seniors checks, getting lots of checks in there as well. The seniors getting dental, vision, hearing checks, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to as low as 55, and then the Medicaid gap fix. They'll provide a workaround plan that provide insurance to uninsured people in 12 Republican holdout states, which is par for the course when we're talking about adding checks to the Build Back Better Act. The other checks that they represent they would add in there, the legislators, are, yes, MSC, monthly IRS stimulus check. This is a 4th stimulus MSC check, where the check is amount from IRS to you in the Build Back Better bill. But it's not a law yet. Let's go over the items at issue. Who would get it? The legislators represent that if you got a 3rd, you would get this one as well, a 4th. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it, double it. Family of 4, get it as well, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, relevant benefits, you get it as well. It is not income. It's not taxable. It goes off the most recent tax return. And if that tax return had a direct deposit account, then that's how you get paid. How much? $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 months. It's not income, it's not taxable, and it comes on a nationwide basis. Now, that is the Build Back Better bill's 4th stimulus add-on of MSC checks. Not law yet. But hold up. Guess what? We got a surprise, because later in this video, we got, at item number C, those checks have landed, which are 3rd stimulus MSCs. OMG. Yes, that's coming up in just a second. Coming up later in this video, we have 3 checks that have now landed, and if you're a renter or homeowner, I got checks for you. It's incredible, and you don't have to wait for them. They're landing. We're going to go over all those incredible checks coming up later in this video. Again, here's a preview of those 3 checks that are now law. They are a $6,500 check that was originally supposed to be in Build Back Better. That is now law. A $15,000 to $80,000 check that was originally in Build Back Better. It has been taken out as well by the President of the United States. It is now law. And then an MSC check about 24,000 to 50,000 plus. It is law under third stimulus. It's coming up later in this video. But now let's turn to the other developing details about Build Back Better and also SS300. There's a lot of moving parts tonight, and those moving parts are economic data that was released in the last 24 hours and the last 7 days. And the economic data is weak. What does weak economic data mean? It means the economy's not as strong as many analysts believe. If we say that an economic predicting item is a miss, it means you're looking for, let's say, $10,000 and it came in at $9,000. Or let's say we're looking for 10,000 jobs created in the month of March and we only generated 9,000. We missed on that number. Let's say we generate 20,000 jobs, then it was a beat. We got higher. So you're going to see in just a second that the economic data released in the last 24 hours and the last 7 days is miss after miss after miss. It's good for Build Back Better, and it's also good for SS300, which we're turning to right now. What is SS300? It's a Joe Biden platform at his presidency of JoeBiden.com to swap your COLA for inflation. By swapping your COLA for inflation, you lock in the highest price point of a generation, inflation, which came in at 8% in December, as I predicted all last year, in 8% in the month of January, as I predicted. And then we're likely tracking it even higher than 8% right now based upon the bond traders trading up the Treasury notes. If that's the case, and Joe Biden made that swap from COLA to inflation right today, it would be deliciousness. You'd lock in about $200 more per month, and not just this month, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. And when they're reassessed later this year, if inflation is, let's say, 4%, you lock in another $100. That's SS300. Well, what's the moving parts tonight? The moving parts are Jay Powell. He's head of the Federal Reserve, and this is Jay Powell. His job is to reduce inflation. But what's important to understand is you want Jay Powell to reduce inflation slower or after Joe makes that swap. You want to lock in 8% inflation that would raise your benefits up $200 more per month right now before Jay Powell reduces inflation thereafter. Because remember, you don't want to go into stagflation, and you don't want to lower interest rate. You want that inflation locked in right now. So let's go over the latest details tonight. The latest details tonight is that Jay Powell in the month of February said that he was going to do a quarter basis point interest rate spike in the month of March. And then that would be enough going forward. That is what he did. But then right after he did that in March at the FOMC meeting, the meeting of the federal governors, he said that inflation may be too rich, maybe too robust. I may have to do more. And then he said, well, he may have to do half basis point increase for interest rates. That's a more aggressive position in the next meeting. Other governors like Wallace and Bullard have asked for him to do it as well. What is the situation tonight? The breaking news tonight is that I predict, as Wall Street analysts are predicting as well, that Jay Powell at the next two FOMC meetings will do not a quarter basis point, but the stronger half basis point. 2 half basis point interest rate spikes at the next two FOMC meetings. And that may bring down your inflationary rate from 8% to potentially 5%. Folks, that's not $200 a month for your benefits. That's $175 and $150. That is why Joe Biden needs to make that swap right now before inflation goes down. You want to lock in that $200 now when it's high, before it comes down, because it will come down. Now, the second part of the analysis is later this year. 4% inflation later this year? Well, that was what Jay Powell said in the month of February. Then at the FOMC meeting in March, he said 1.9% is what I'm aspired for. We don't want 1.9% because that's not another $100 later this year. That's about $10 more later this year. Do I believe that Jay Powell will get inflation down that low? I don't think he will. But here's what's happening tonight, and it's breaking news for April 3rd, 2022. There's economic data after economic data over the last 24 hours and the last 7 days that is miss, meaning that it missed on targets that Wall Street is anticipating. And this is good news for your Build Back Better bill, and it's good news for your SS300. Why is it good for Build Back Better bill? When we're talking about stimulus, if the economy is weaker, it helps the push to get a stimulus package approved. If the economy is too strong, then critics will say, don't do a stimulus package. The economy's too strong. Tonight, the economy is not as strong as Wall Street analysts predicted. And here is the economic data that is miss after miss after miss. First, On April 1st, the job numbers for the month of March, these are non-payroll job creation numbers, were released. Miss after miss. First, we were looking for 431,000 non-payroll jobs created in the month of March. We missed. We were looking for 490,000. It came in at 431. It was a miss by 60,000. Next, we were looking for unemployment to drop dramatically. It did not. Also a miss. It only dropped 3.6%. That was the April 1 number. Then the day before, we were looking for the gross national product. How large is this economy growing? It was a miss. We had seen a projection of 7.1%. It came in as a miss at 6.9. Then on Thursday, the unemployment claims, we were looking at something around maybe 150,000 plus. It came in at 200,000 new unemployment claims. Again, another miss. Then we had the auto sales numbers for the month of March. We were looking at robust numbers. It was a miss. Then we had the housing numbers coming out on Wednesday, and the housing numbers were also a miss. Not just that month, but for the fourth consecutive month, housing numbers, meaning housing sales, were down. And that comes as the other numbers behind housing were also miss. The mortgage numbers surged to its highest level since 2018, and that caused other things like mortgage refis to plummet 60%. Miss after miss after miss. What does this mean for your money tonight? Good news, because number one, it's good for Build Back Better bill. People like Joe Manchin will see this data and say, well, the economy is not as robust as we thought. We need to pass Build Back Better bill. Number two, it may also be good for your SS300 because guess what? If Jay Powell thinks he's coming in too aggressively on an economy that is not as robust, then he may not do as many half basis point increases. And then you're locked into a potential better likelihood of Joe making that swap at a high inflationary number like 8%. That is why that data tonight all looks really good. But there's a twist to that. And it's coming up later in this video. Series of analysts now tonight believe that Jay Powell has two choices. Live with higher inflation or live with a recession. Well, in the later part of this video, I'll explain to you whether I believe we are already in recession. That analysis is coming up later in this video. But first up in the second half of this video is checks. Lots of checks. And the great news is that Joe Biden has been watching the Build Back Better bill and understood that he wants some of those checks to land in your hands. So 1, 2 checks he took out of Build Back Better bill. And by his executive authority in the executive branch as President of the United States, he made them law. The checks have now landed. These are 4 stimulus checks that have now landed. And the second half of this video, I'm going to show you how to get them. First, we're going to go over an overview of the checks, and then we're going to go over the details of each of them after the commercial break. Let's go over the overview of the checks. They are a $6,500 check that has now landed. It's huge. And it became a law on March 31st. Second, a $15,000 to $80,000 check. It became a law 5 weeks ago. Viewers of the channel have got it. They're averaging about $60,000 to $80,000 on this check. And number 3, an MSC check, monthly stimulus check. Not from fourth stimulus, but from third stimulus. It became a law in 2021. Average view of this channel is getting $2,000 a month for 12 months. It's at least $24,000, but many viewers are getting upwards of $45,000, and some viewers are getting over $150,000. If you're a renter, if you're a homeowner, these are checks for you. I got these checks coming up in the second half of this video. How do you get these checks? You first want to become a member. Become a member during the commercial break. The link is at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Meantime, go to the front of this channel and hit the bell and put all notifications to all so you get all notifications when they happen. Meantime, if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Not only become a member, but also subscribe. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over all those checks. We're going to go over that student loan debt forgiveness heating up on May 2nd. We're going to go over the developing details of 6 stimulus supposed to be for this month. But did something go wrong with Germany in the last 7 days? All the analysis of that and what's going on in France. Meantime, what's going on with that oil? Joe Biden had a deal with oil with Iran, and then suddenly it didn't seem to happen. Is there a deal or is there not a deal? Is your price of gasoline going down in the month of April, or are we going to recession? All that and more as America's most watched show in prime time for financial news goes into the second half. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. Of all these incredible checks coming up in the second half, get your pen and paper ready. We got big money and a big second half for a big show tonight. I'll see you back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the community page on LALATE.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues. The big second half of Evenings LALATE from Santa Monica, California tonight for April 3rd, 2022. A lot of breaking developing details on that sixth stimulus front. Did the president erode that sixth stimulus deal between Germany and France and the United States? All the latest details in the second half. Then we'll be looking at seventh stimulus, student loan debt forgiveness from May 2nd. Will the president forgive the student loan debts? And is there a major change happening tonight? Then we'll be looking at this stimulus and back to Build Back Better Act for stimulus. But of course, those big checks that you need right now because of potential recession looming, that analysis coming up in the later half of this video. We're going to go to right now. 3 checks, 3 pounds of money, and you're ready to pounce as a purple hawk. Let's get to those incredible checks. Get your pen and paper ready. We're going to them right now. 3 checks have been made a law by the President of the United States, and there they are. They are a $6,500 check, a $15,000 to $80,000 check, and a $24,000 plus MSC check. Let's go over each of these checks one at a time. First, it's important to know that if you're a renter or a homeowner, you can get one or all of these checks. All right, let's get to the first check. $6,500 check that became a law by the President of the United States on March 31st, 2022. What is it? How do you get it? And what do you need to know? Here we go. Check number 1. A $6,500 check. How much is the amount? Well, in some states, actually, they're paying out a lot more. Some states are paying upwards of $12,000. This was in for stimulus in that second cluster for weatherizing your home, but taken out by the President of the United States and made a law in the executive branch on March 31st. What do we call this? We call this the homeowner's grant or the weatherizing check. Let's go over the income qualification for you to get this big check. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits like Social Security or a veteran, you can get it as well. The last eligibility, obviously, is that you own a home. This is a weatherizing homeowner's grant check. You get it by becoming a member. The membership newsletter features all the details. Now, let me go over some of the questions I've seen in the last 24 hours, especially in our new hit overnight show, LALATE Live. What type of home? Do not worry about that. Just go right in the application because every state could define it differently, whether it's a mobile home or not a mobile home, whether it's a freestanding home or not. Next, weatherizing. This is a great term and it has a lot of different meanings across the country. So don't wait on this one. Why? Because when we look at the weatherization, in some cases it includes, yes, small appliances as one of the volunteers revealed overnight. In other places, it involves hurricanes, tornado, fires, and similar. So don't worry about the definition. Just apply. All the information is there. So let's go over how you apply. You apply for this A check, $6,500 weatherizing grant check, by becoming a member. Open that incredible membership newsletter and go right down in the first few lines to where it says homeowners weatherizing grant check. It is a grant, meaning it's free money. It's not income, it's not taxable, and it does not require a credit check because it's not a loan. You're going to see in the membership newsletter a link that'll send you right into an online website. You can do this on your phone, however. You don't need a computer. And then on that website, you type in your state or click for your state. Let's say Alabama. And you'll click Alabama Weatherizing Grant. And you apply. And you're done. There you go. That is the first of 3 checks that Joe Biden has made law. The Weatherizing Homeowners Grant Check. $6,500 to $12,000. Become a member right today. It's in the membership newsletter with the link to go right in and apply. That's the first check, A. Now let's go to the next check, B. Remember, we got 3 checks. Some of you will qualify for all of them. Some of you will qualify for at least one. Here's the second check, $15,000 to $80,000. This became a law earlier last month, March 4th. So it's been law for 5 weeks. You do not want to wait because this will run out of money. So do not wait to become a member. Do not wait to get the newsletter. Do not wait to apply. Every day you wait, thousands of people in your state could get ahead of you and the money will run out. So let's go over what this check is, how you get it, and the qualifications. This is check B, $15,000 to $80,000. Here you go, $15,000 to $80,000. The average viewer of this channel who has gotten paid is being paid around $60,000 to $80,000. Number 2, once you get your application in, it says approved, then you get it funded thereafter. Went about a week. This is a fourth stimulus add-on. It became law by the President of the United States, doing it under his executive branch authority. And we call this on this channel the Homeowners Grant. Yeah, this is different than the Weatherizing Grant. Again, it's in the membership newsletter. So you want to become a member, go right down. This is under the Weatherizing Grant link. This is the Homeowners Grant. And the reason why it's more money is it pays for a lot more items, like home repairs. It's incredible. Now, the income qualification is the same as Check A. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. And if you're on benefits like Social Security or veterans benefits, you can get it as well. Like A, it is a link, a website. You're going to click the link and it's going to go right into the national website. Then you're going to see your U.S. map and you click your state. Let's say Tennessee. It goes into the state of Tennessee. You apply immediately and you're ready to rock and roll. That is check A and B. Now, as I said earlier, between A, B, and C, I got a check for everyone on this channel. The last check, C, is for renters and homeowners. So yeah, here you go, renters. Get ready to take notes for you. And yes, if you're a homeowner, you can get A, B, and, repeat, and C. So C is fascinating, and it's done differently than A and B. Get ready to take notes. Here we go. Check C pays out $24,000 to $45,000. On average, it's paying $2,000 a month for 12 months. But hold up there, because many viewers of this channel have gotten over $100,000 from this. Many viewers have gotten over $150,000 in the last 30 days. This became a law in January 2021. It's third stimulus. Yes, third. Number 3, not Build Back Better fourth stimulus. This is not an IRS check. This is a third MSC check. And unlike check A and B, that required you just going to a website, in the case of C, you're using your phone. You're using your phone and making calls to get funded. So it's a different approach. For C, you're not clicking a link and getting an automatic deposit of $45,000. No, you're making a phone call to get these checks. We have new details on these checks tonight. Let's go over all the incredible details of them starting right now. Where do you reach out to? Let's look and see where you reach out to for these checks starting right now. You're going to reach out to the following 6 places: your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, and your county housing authority. That's 4, but what are the other 2? The graphic omits the next 2. They are your state hall and your state housing authority. Now, if you're a member, you already had the extra 2. Guess what? The members also in the membership newsletter have half a dozen nonprofits. So in this video, you get 6 places: city, county, state times 2. But the members, they get 6 more approximately with the nonprofits to reach out to. What are the keywords you're going to say? Rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage utility assistance because of COVID, or utility assistance because of COVID. Notice you do not say MSC. You don't say different words like that. You say rent assistance because of COVID. What else do you do? You must reach out to all 6 places. You must put multiple applications on file. And you must get as long as you can get these checks. Become a member. Why? Because that membership newsletter features the nonprofits that are not even featured in this recording. That gives you more opportunity to get checks. Remember, you want to reach out to 12, 15 places. The more places you reach out to, the more you get funded. You don't stop with one no, or you don't stop with one yes. You absolutely keep on pushing. Rely on those nonprofits because they pick up a lot of sums of money, items not even featured in this recording. And also keep on pushing because the average view of this channel got $2,000 a month for 12 months recently. That is on top of the $45,000 they have gotten from this channel. Get those big sums of checks today and don't wait across the board. Get them right now. And that is the MSC check. That is number C. Let's recap at those checks right now. We covered 3 checks in tonight's recording. A $6,500 check, the homeowner's weatherizing grant check. The $15,000 to $80,000 check, the homeowner's grant check, which is for more than just weatherizing, for things like home repairs. And then the upwards of at least 24,000, well, approximately 24,000 or more checks for MSC. We have a lot of viewers getting over 150,000. How do you get this information? Where do you apply for these checks? You want to become a member because it's all in the membership newsletter. Become a member tonight, become a member today, and get that incredible information. How do you become a member? The link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then you'll be delivered the newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, via the YouTube alerts. The YouTube alerts are the alerts sent by this platform. To make sure you're signed up for alerts, hit that bell at the front of this channel. Make sure the bell is set to all notifications. Do not have it set to personalized notifications. So that when you get alert, like an alert about this video, you'll get an alert about the newsletter, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Become a member today to get those incredible 3 checks, because guess what? These checks are first come, first serve. You don't want to wait. You want to pounce as a Purple Hawk and get those big checks tonight. Now, as the broadcast continues in this 1-hour special report, we have a lot coming up. And the next issue at hand is the developing details about that 7 stimulus. Let's go over quickly that 7 stimulus. Fascinating. Student loan debt forgiveness. The president has set a May 2nd date to determine whether he's going to forgive student loan debts. Why? Because debts were not having to be repaid during COVID days, and those debts were on what was called a moratorium till May 2nd, 2022. On May 2nd, the moratorium is lifted if it's not extended thereafter. The President's Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, confirms that the President of the United States will make a determination on student loan debt forgiveness by May 2nd. 3 opportunities are available. Let me go over the 3, and I'll give you my analysis. Number 1, the first option, the President does nothing, says start repaying some debts to us, and we're not forgiving anything for you. I don't think this is happening. So that one I think I'm cutting out. Number 2, President says, I haven't made up my mind. I need a little bit more time. I'll be in Delaware thinking about this. Let's extend the moratorium on repaying the student loan debts a little bit longer, and then I'll decide what I'm doing on the student loan debt forgiveness. I think that's a possibility. Number 2. The third one is, he says, I made up my mind. I am forgiving student loan debts, and you don't have to repay anything right now. This, I think, is very likely, much more likely than it was a month ago. Why? Because the guy that Joe Biden worked with, the education secretary under the Obama-Biden administration, has come out and said, Joe knows this. He knows he can forgive student loan debt by executive order authority in the executive branch because we passed this law when he was vice president. Joe knows it. He needs to forgive the debt, said that former education secretary. And guess what? If anyone has a problem with it, the people who have a problem with it cannot undo it. The only way you undo it is a Senate vote, and there's not enough Republicans to undo it. So I think that's what's going to be happening with that 7 stimulus. Now, let's turn to the developing details on that 6 stimulus. This is huge, folks. This is where you wake up and you say, oh my goodness. This is the biggest stimulus package of a generation, bigger than first stimulus, bigger than the Obama-Biden stimulus package of day one to save the housing industry. This and the banking industry, this is the stimulus package that is unlike any other. First was for COVID. Second was for COVID. Third is coming out of COVID. Fourth is coming out of COVID. Fifth is for seniors. Seven is for student loan debt. But this is Putin-caused stimulus. Why do you need this? Because without it, you go into recession. Several parts of this six stimulus are oil, wheat, grain, soybean, banking industry, and Vladimir Putin default. You need it, and if you don't have it, we go into recession. Or are we in a recession already? That's coming up in a second. Let me explain the history of that six stimulus package so you understand how we got here. It started week one of the Vladimir Putin invasion of Ukraine. Day one, the White House's Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, reached out to the trifecta of progressive leaders, Germany, France, the United States, and said, you need to get off of those Russian products. Germany historically is an economy that looks at economics differently than us. Their initial reaction to Blinken, no, we're not doing that. We're staying on Russian products. France said maybe. Then Blinken pushed really hard, and then about a week later, then they changed course. In something we've never seen for Germany, they said, you're right, we are getting off the Russian products, and the way we're going to do it is debt spend. We're going to raise national deficit spending and give stimulus to our citizens. So also said France and the United States. The key date was early April, as we wait to see if whether France's President Emmanuel Macron is reelected, locking in the trifecta of the progressive leaders, the Chancellor of Germany, the President of France, and the President of the United States. We looked all great on this entire front until less than 7 days ago, when Germany made a shocking announcement last week that it said it's staying on Russian products. It's not going off of Russian oil. The reaction from the White House, silence. The White House made no reaction to the news whatsoever. Today, April 3rd, 2022, Anthony Blinken appeared on broadcast news saying that everything in Russia and this war of aggression against Ukraine has been a big win for the United States. Win on oil, win on sanctions, win on the allegiance. I think it's been loss. Number one, Germany has now disavowed the allegiance, saying we're not getting off of Russian oil. And the White House keeps on avoiding that subject matter. Number two, when looking at the way to get off a dependency for Russian oil, we haven't solved it either. It's coming up in a second. And number three, we're heading into recession because of Vladimir Putin. Does that look like a win? All the latest analysis starting right now. Germany had our backs. Week two of the invasion, no longer the situation, as it's saying it's staying on that Russian oil. This is very bad for the United States because that does not have the allegiance in hand. The White House had a press briefing on April 1st, and on April 1st, the White House said that we have a solution for your energy crisis. Was an announcement in the White House, the United States said that we have found a way to reduce your price of oil at the pump. What did the president announce? He said the United States will be leasing 1 million barrels a day for 6 months of the strategic reserves. The strategic reserves refers to gasoline the U.S. government owns and is in storage. So the White House says we're leasing 1 million barrels a day to bring down the price of gasoline. And the White House, or the president, correctly described how gasoline works. A shortage of it, the price goes up. A lot of it, the price goes down. So the president says, I'm releasing a lot of it, so there's a lot more of it, so the price will go down. Does that work? And that, of course, is the most important part of six stimulus. It absolutely 100% doesn't work. Why? Here's what is the issue. If you have 50 countries that use oil, and that the 50 countries have a shortage of oil, and one country, the United States, says, hi, we're releasing some of our oil, it doesn't bring down the international shortage of oil. The international shortage of oil is what's causing the international price of oil to go through the roof and the price of gasoline at the pump to go up. So if oil shortage is internationally still there, then releasing some oil here doesn't solve anything. The president seemed to understand this because what did the president say then seconds later in the press conference? We have our Western allies also agreeing to release some of their strategic reserves as well of stockpiled gasoline. It sounds really good, but it's completely incorrect. Why? Because our Western allies don't have stockpiles of gasoline that he's referring to. For example, Western ally Italy has no stockpiled gasoline. All they have stockpiled is olive oil, not petroleum oil. Doesn't work. Then, countries like Germany do not have stockpiles of oil. They're dependent on Russian oil at 60, 70, 80% in some cases. These countries don't have stockpiles of oil. So the statement that our Western allies will be releasing oil like we are ain't going to work. The translation is that none of this is happening. Now, also not said in that press briefing by the White House is the keyword Iran. What happened to that Iranian-U.S. deal on oil? Featured on the channel for 3 weeks. That was going to bring down the price of gasoline to its lowest price level of a generation. I didn't know the answer because I couldn't find it. I had to go to overseas international newspapers to find the answer because the President of the United States addressed the American people on bringing down oil and didn't even mention Iran. What was Iran? Iran is the JCPOA. It's 15 years in the making, where we have not had Iranian oil in our economy for nearly over a decade because of Iran's proliferation of nuclear warheads. So the negotiations continued in Vienna, Germany and France on behalf of us, and then Iran on behalf of itself. And those negotiations got very close where they had a formative agreement, at least orally, that the U.S. and the Western allies would see 1.5 million barrels of Iranian oil released per day by the end of this year and 500,000 starting this month. This will bring down the gasoline to its lowest price levels of a generation. Huge, great news. And then suddenly the White House has the president appearing in his grounds on Friday and not mentioning this. So I immediately looked high and low to figure out what happened to the Iranian oil deal. And in a buried news article in an international trade publication, there was the quote, "The deal appears to have not been solidified." Why? We really don't know at the time of this recording for April 3rd, 2022. But we have the guidance from EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell that says sometimes they think they're almost done there and other days they're not. The JCPOA, which is, of course, is this deal, is not getting to an end. It would be a shame not to get some sort of agreement. We're so near to reaching one. Translation, no deal on Iran, and what was announced by the White House for releasing strategic reserves ain't going to work. So your gasoline that's tracking at $4.24 a gallon is going to stay high. It ain't going to come down. What Joe Biden's proposing won't work. He knows it won't work. And that means you're going into recession. Because remember, as I reported week 1 of Putin's invasion, if gasoline prices do not come down by the month of May, which is less than a month away, then we go into recession. If gasoline prices for our partner allies does not go down, then we go into recession. We all have to fix it together. And that is why the first part of 6 stimulus is needed. What's the second part of 6 stimulus? It is the situation about wheat and grain and soybean and crops, the agricultural part of 6 stimulus. And tonight, a lot of developing details on this front. When Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, he immediately targeted the Black Sea eastern region, which you know tonight, if you've been watching news, that he's refocused away from the capital to that each region, specifically Odessa. That agrarian area along the Black Sea is rich soil, and that soil produces the wheat that services the Middle East and that entire region. Egypt, for example, 80% of its grain and wheat comes from Ukraine. Well, what happened? What happened is now those farmers are not harvesting the wheat. They're defending their country. And this crop is lost this season. Next season's crop is lost because it's not being soiled and fertilized. And the crop after that is lost. So with those crops lost, guess what's happening to the international prices of these products? They're going through the roof. Understand, if you're a U.S. farmer, your price still goes up because your price is like gasoline. This is the same as gasoline, folks. If there's a shortage of gasoline, the price internationally goes up. If there's a shortage of wheat, the price internationally goes up. Why is this bad for you and your wallet? Very simple. You like bread. We like our carbs, don't we? Yes, and you go to the supermarket, you cannot afford $7 a loaf of bread indefinitely. We're into recession. You cannot afford that $5 box of breakfast cereal indefinitely because it's too expensive. Tonight, more details on this as it gets worse. U.S. farmers are likely to take it even to a worse situation. The President of the United States addressed Janet Yellen before Putin invaded and said, I don't want any casualties in the U.S. economy. I don't think that message got across very clearly because casualty number one is the U.S. farming industry. A farmer today is selling their wheat for a lot more than day one of the invasion. Good. Their revenues are up, but they're losing their shirt, their bottom line, their net profits are way down. Why? You can hear the analysis. You know what the analysis is. Number one, they got to drive the tractor trailer. And if they're driving the tractor trailer, it runs on oil. And that oil price is going through the roof. They can't afford that tractor trailer to drive that and harvest that wheat. Number two, the biggest shoveler of manure internationally, figuratively and literally, is Vladimir Putin. No joke. And with Putin's manure not in the pipeline, not available, the price is going up. So the farmers are going to actually potentially raise prices of your wheat and grain even worse than it is now. You can't sustain it right now. And guess what? No one among France, Germany, and the United States has even addressed this issue. Again, if none of them address it, we all go into recession. We have to have them all fixing them tonight. Next up, Vladimir Putin is potential default. April 4th, we're looking to see whether Vladimir Putin does not meet a principal repayment of $2 billion of principal. Now, let's understand what a principal repayment is. It's where you have to pay back a debtor the principal on the note. And the debtor doesn't tell us whether Putin defaults unless we ask. And there's going to be a lot of debtors and a lot of notes. It's $2 billion, and it's April 4th. If Putin defaults, which he's likely to default on most of those notes, his economy spirals out of control. And guess what happens to our economy? We don't know. We do not know at the time of tonight's recording how big, how pervasive U.S. Fortune 500 banks have positions in Russian debt that's about to become valueless, Russian equities that are about to become valueless or credit worthless. And we may not see that until Q1 or Q2 actually now, 2022 corporate earnings reports, where the banks report massive losses, and those massive losses are so severe that guess what Joe Biden will be doing? What he did day one of the Biden administration, bailing out the banking industry. This is why 6 stimulus needs to get done. Now, the analysis tonight is actually even more troubling. 6 stimulus is to keep this economy out of recession. Because remember, if we go into recession, it's bad news. It's 2 years of recession. It's to keep our partner allies out of recession, because if they go into recession, they pull us into recession. The question is whether we are in recession already tonight. In my opinion, the U.S. economy is already in recession in certain industries. And the other industries are likely to be drawn into recession by the end of this year, with the East Coast going into recession before the West Coast. At the time of tonight's recording for April 3rd, 2022, it's my opinion that the U.S. housing industry is already in a recession. Many people call it stagflation, and that the auto industry is also in a recession. That those two industries will draw other industries into recession, East Coast first, West Coast 6 months thereafter. Let me tell you the analysis tonight and then go over why it's so important for your wallet. As we look at the housing industry tonight, it is very bubblish. It looks like a bubble about to explode. It looks like a recessionary environment. Here are the numbers in the housing industry tonight. Number one, U.S. housing sales are down 4 consecutive months in a row. Number two, the mortgage rates are at the highest level since 2018. Number three, people are not able to afford a home at a 5% mortgage rate, and the mortgage rate's potentially going higher. Number four, the price to repair the home going through the roof because of the lumber and the supply chain shortage. The price to build a new home going through the roof. And then finally, the bubble part of the equation, where people bet wrong and are going to get burnt. The bubble part of the equation, where people bought homes at the highest levels of the market during COVID, thinking that the housing market's a great place to be, that everyone will be staying home, and now people can't sell their homes. When there's too many homes that people bought them too expensive, can't repair them because of all these issues, and no one has the ability to afford a 5% mortgage, yeah, that's an ingredients for recession. Tonight, a lot of analysts are calling that stagflation. I think it's actually worse. I think it's a bubble about to burst, and I think it's a recession. Number two is the auto industry. 2021, everyone's buying a car. You're buying a car, he's buying a car, she's buying a car. The dealer's trying to get $10,000 more per car on top of the sticker price. Not 22 today, folks. Not tonight. Dealers are having problems selling cars. Auto sales are way down in 2022, dramatically down. And if you think gasoline prices are going to draw it down more, they're going to go down even worse. Moreover, a lot of things that people don't talk about in the equation for auto sales is that a lot of the U.S. auto manufacturers, their component parts are built in, yeah, you're about to hear me say it, Ukraine. And if they don't have the seatbelt, they can't sell the car. It's literally happening right now. So the auto industry already in recession. I believe that the U.S. economy is going to get fully into recession by the end of the year. And that is why the last part of the equation is really fascinating. Series of analysts today are now saying that Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, has two choices. Do you want inflation or do you want recession? Do you want inflation or do you want recession? They're saying Jay Powell cannot have both. I got to tell you, I think I agree. Jay Powell is going to come in too aggressively on those FOMC meetings coming up with half basis points. It's going to come in too aggressively. The economic data, you already saw earlier in this video, miss. Businesses won't be hiring. Businesses will be making money. People won't be affording cars, won't be affording homes because of mortgage and interest rates going too high. And guess what? It's not stagflation. It's recession. It's recession. And what did he do? He got down inflation and he left for you with recession. That is on top of industries, in my opinion, that are already in recession, meaning that if Jay Powell comes in so aggressively, he will really bring us into recession. And that's why 6 stimulus is really needed. Tonight, my final commentary across the board. The President of the United States on the first days of October 2021, we all know, reached out to Janet Yellen. We have that statement from Yellen's office confirming the White House asked for clarification and tasking and instructions as to what things the White House could do to ensure no economic instability in the United States if Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in 2022. Right before Halloween last year, folks, I said that there's 100,000 Russian troops at the border. If Russia invades Ukraine, it'll be the biggest economic story of 2022. It clearly is. Today, Anthony Blinken appeared on broadcast media saying it's win for the Western allies. I couldn't think of anything worse to say about that statement by Blinken. It was absolutely incorrect. There's a loss on the oil front. There's a loss on the wheat and grain front. There's a loss on the allegiance of the Western allies as to what to do with Vladimir Putin, where Germany's now saying we're not getting off of Russian oil, where the White House has not gotten a deal for oil to provide to its partner allies. It was day one of the invasion. I said, okay, now the invasion's happened. Get Venezuelan oil, get Iraqi oil, get UAE oil, get Iranian oil for our partner allies. You don't get them oil, we're all going to recession. That was 3 weeks ago. We're now in the second month of this invasion. And when we talk about oil, it's the easiest commodity to talk about. But you can't just talk about that. You have to talk about wheat, grain, and soybeans. And if you don't deal with those situations, we have a big problem. Here's what I want you to know as we go into a night across the board. What's important for you to know is that the way this channel refocuses you is to ensure that you get money on the come. And that you get money on the come and understand what's on the trajectory 30 days out, 60 days out, and potentially, later this year. So the trajectory right tonight is the following. First, there's 3 checks available for you to get right tonight. So you want to get all those 3 checks right today, because if the recession is in front of us, you want to have as much cash in the bank. First, $6,500 check, the homeowner's grant check for weatherizing. You want to get it right tonight. You want to get that $15,000 to $80,000 check as well for those home repairs. You want to get it right tonight. And then for my renters and my homeowners, you want to get those MSE checks. Some viewers gain over $150,000. You want to get those checks tonight. Viewers are continually getting these checks, so you want to get some of these and then keep on getting more of those day after day, week after week. How do you get them? Again, you want to become a member. The links at the membership link is under the video and at the top of the chat. Get that newsletter Monday through Friday and get that newsletter delivered via the YouTube alerts, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure the alerts are set to all. Hit that bell at the front of this channel and make sure the notifications are set to all. And then watch for that YouTube alert at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. That's the trajectory where we are right now. Then, what's on the horizon thereafter? We're going to see this coming week where Bullard will be speaking on Tuesday what he says about interest rates, inflation. Folks, if these people keep on talking about half basis point, for more than 2 meetings, they are really off bounds. They are really going to throw us into a tailspin of recession. So we're going to see how many meetings they're talking about for half basis point. Then also this month, it looks likely that the fourth stimulus Build Back Better bill will become a law. This is really the time and place to get it done. I think Manchin understands it. I think the progressives understand it. The economy is starting to misfire. It's starting to back up. It's starting to shrink. GDP numbers come in 6.9%, growth national product not increasing like 7%. This is likely where it makes sense to get it done. We can get more clarifications about that SS300. We're going to see whether those statements by Joe Biden about the strategic reserve releases are going to do any effect. They haven't so far. In fact, the price of gasoline has not dropped dramatically across the board. We'll potentially get new guidance about that student loan debt forgiveness, and then we'll get new guidance about that sixth stimulus and that SS300. Mortgage industry, employment numbers. These are the numbers we look at. And ultimately, if the future is recession for this economy, if the future is for recession for this channel, 30 days out, 8 months out, 1 year out, I'll have the trajectory, I'll have the economic data. But where we are tonight, at least 2 industries, in my opinion, already are in recession. Recession is defined industry by industry, then geographically. And if more industries go into recession, then it looks more likely as we're all going into recession. If the East Coast goes into recession first, then it looks likely the West Coast will go into recession 60 days after. There's a lot to deal with, and ultimately, the best way to deal with it is this channel. By becoming a member, getting that notification. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit those LA alerts and get all these incredible checks when they're available, because the future is dicey at the moment. It may get better. Let's hope it does. But if we have a recession coming, we'll have a lot of checks in our hands. And with that, stay with me throughout the night as Evenings LA continues. Every night, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's America's most watched show in prime time. It's Evenings LA, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night with your incredible financial news.